Today is Election Day. We're going to show you what's on the ballot and what you need to know before heading to the polls.
And staying warm in the winter, a new place for people to get out of the cold.
Then new details on the future of a Bay City fire station, what one architecture firm recommends the city should do.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning for TV5 Morning Extra on this Election Day. I'm Christine Winter.
And I'm Lauren Piesco. First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mundros here, tracking our Tuesday forecast. Matthew, what should people know before they head out today?
Yeah, Lauren, Christine, for this Election Day, we actually have a fairly quiet forecast ahead of us here. This morning, it's been pretty clear so far. Temps falling down to a pretty average mid to upper 30s. We normally expect this at this time of year during the morning. Wind, too, has slowed down quite a bit, and that's one of the big differences compared to the same time yesterday. So it's a little bit more of a southwest wind, but speed's only about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now, I am first alerting you to a little bit of a breeze today, back up to about 10 to 15 miles per hour, but still, even at that speed, just not quite as windy as it was yesterday. A nice dry day, though, partly to mostly sunny. Temps into the mid to upper 50s this afternoon. If you do have any leaf cleanup to do, especially after the wind yesterday, a pretty pleasant day here in the raking forecast. But looking ahead in the forecast, something that's been gaining a lot of attention, our first chance of snow showers for the season this weekend. We'll talk some more details on this in your full First Alert forecast coming up. Lauren, Christine, back to you.
All right, breaking news this morning. Former Vice President Dick Cheney has died, and that's from a statement from his family. The 46th Vice President served under George W. Bush for 2 terms between 2001 and 2009.
The firm conservative is remembered as an architect of the War on Terror, helping lead the country into war with Iraq after September 11th attacks. Dick Cheney was 84 years old. Well, as we mentioned, today is Election Day across Michigan, and a number of communities will vote on issues including school proposals. Saginaw Township Community Schools is asking voters for more than $169 million. If passed, the bonds would go towards a school support building, new technology, security improvements, and updating athletic fields and facilities. The estimated millage that will be levied is 3.95 mils, which would add about $3.95 on each $1,000 of taxable property value.
Well, Birch Run Area Schools is also asking voters to say yes to a bond. School leaders say the proposal comes at no additional cost to taxpayers and could bring in more than $17 million to the district. That money would be used for infrastructure needs like improving security systems and upgrades to buildings. If passed, some of the planned projects include adding classrooms at North Elementary and upgrading the trade space at Birch Run High School.
In Genesee County, a sinking fund is back on the ballot for Davison Community Schools. The superintendent tells TV5 the sinking fund that passed in 2015 is set to expire at the end of this year. 53% of voters said no to this proposal in May. And this time, the wording will look a little different for the measure, reading renewal instead of increase. If passed, the millage would bring in about $1.5 million per year to go towards parking lot repavements, HVAC repairs, and building upgrades.
Now, this is a smaller election, so not all communities are participating. To see if there's an election in your area, go to the hot link section right at the top of WNEM.com and be sure to stay with TV5 on air and online as the results come in.
A new space on the way to stay warm for those in need in Bay County. A new overnight drop-in center is being added to the Good Samaritan Rescue Mission in Bay City. Dan Streeter, CEO of Rescue Ministries of Mid-Michigan, says it's gratifying to see these plans finally come to fruition.
Is a place where people can come in 6 o'clock in the evening all the way until 8 o'clock in the morning, be able to get in out of the elements. It's not intended to be an emergency shelter, but we've seen this very successfully run at the Lansing City Rescue Mission, and so when we started to take a look at what the community need was, we saw that model and said we need to bring this to Bay County as well.
Streeter says there will be space for up to 35 people. It's not intended for sleeping there, but meals will be provided, plus showers and laundry machines available. Streeter also hopes they can connect anyone experiencing homelessness to various services for mental health, medical, and housing. He also hopes the drop-in center will be ready to open by December 1st.
Saginaw's Ojibwe Island is reopening to foot traffic. The city says the bank stabilization project is mostly finished. Ojibwe's parking lot is now open, but still closed to vehicles until further notice. The city says construction will resume in the spring to complete the rehabilitation of Ojibwe Island Drive and all of the parking lots on the island.
Well, November is here and it won't be long before Michigan roads are covered in snow.
Yeah, before it starts falling, which could happen soon, state police want drivers to thaw out their winter driving skills. Remember, it only takes a second, one slippery patch of ice, to lose control out on the road. And when drivers don't act fast, they risk spinning out or ending up in a ditch. Troopers say you can help avoid disaster by slowing down on snowy roads. But drivers also need to know how to correct their cars if they lose control.
Michigan State Police recruits learn driving skills every day at the department's own training track.
So what do you think is the biggest mistake that people could make behind the wheel for winter driving conditions?
Panicking and going right to the brakes, because you want to keep friction or grip with the ground, and if you lock up the tires, that's not going to happen.
They add if a driver skids on ice or snow, let your foot off the gas and quickly turn the wheel towards the direction you want to go. Officers also recommend keeping items like flashlights, batteries, and blankets in your car at all times.
Bay City is trying to figure out what to do with its aging fire station number 5, and the possible solutions could be pretty expensive.
Yeah, an architecture firm presented its study of the building that was closed down last year. And to function properly and meet modern safety standards, it found the building's square footage would need to be expanded and its facilities would need to be upgraded.
Now, the firm presented several options yesterday: renovate the existing station, renovate and expand it, or demolish it altogether and continue operations at Station 4. The lot on Smith Street is too small for expansion without taking space from a nearby park. The cost of a rebuild and expansion would cost $4 to $4.5 million.
It's a pretty significant number, right? We don't have that necessarily set aside at this moment. Otherwise, we probably already did that.
Their recommendation: demolish the building and focus resources elsewhere. But several commissioners pushed back, worried the city could end up down 2 stations since station number 2 is also aging and contaminated with PFAS chemicals.
We have some pretty significant issues we have to look at and challenges to overcome. And, we have limited resources.
City commissioners say they will now adjust their timeline for any decisions to allow for talks on that report. The construction costs released do not include staffing. That's expected to add millions more to the final total. Well, thanks for joining us live. You are watching TV5 News Extra.
Still ahead, Michigan is focusing on 3 mid-Michigan counties who they're looking to recruit for the MyChem monitoring program.
And a new tool at a local museum takes you back in time. We're going to tell you about finding Flint at the Sloan Museum of Discovery.
Miss a story? Catch up on our YouTube channel, and for the latest updates, like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Matthew will have your first alert forecast coming up next in just a minute.
In your first alert forecast, we have been tracking a fairly quiet forecast for the middle of the week. We are tracking our first chance of snow showers for the season this upcoming weekend. And that's expected to be around Saturday night into Sunday. Now, on average, in the last 5 years, we have generally seen that arrival of a first measurable snow sometime around mid-November. You can see Halloween 2023 was a bit of an exception for both Saginaw and Flint. Worth noting, too, a measurable snow technically defined as a 1/10 of an inch or greater, so a trace or a dusting technically does not count as a measurable snowfall. But those last 5 years, when you average them out, it's November 12th in Saginaw and November 14th in Flint. So with this weekend being the 8th and the 9th, we are actually pretty close to where we normally should be as far as that arrival of our first measurable snowfall. So just something to keep in mind as we head towards mid-November. This is about typical for us to start to expect to talk about snow in the forecast. Now, for this weekend, Saturday, I do think the daytime on Saturday is dry. We could see a few showers trying to come in from the south as we go into Saturday night. That's initially rain, then turns over to snow showers in the middle of the night. That's with those temps cooling off right near freezing, so very much a temperature-driven system. Then as we go into Sunday morning, we'll have any of the snow that's left starting to turn back to rain again, especially as we go towards the late morning. Pretty much by lunchtime, temps should be back to the upper 30s by then. But then once we go into Sunday night, we'll have lake effect with a northwesterly wind, and temps actually fall into the 20s, the mid-20s on Sunday night. So that should be all snow shower activity as we go into Sunday night. So what is likely here is that we will see some snow showers falling at least on Saturday night and Sunday morning. And what is possible with this too is that we see some accumulations or very light coating on some elevated surfaces like some cars outside or some patio furniture. However, what is unlikely with this is that we see any sort of significant accumulation on the ground and on our roadways too. Our ground temperatures right now are still in the mid-40s, so relatively that is very mild. Any snow that falls is really going to have an uphill battle to be able to actually stick to the ground, again, outside of those elevated surfaces. So really, I would expect just wet roads more than anything else on Sunday. But you see, we do have a cold weekend in general. 45 for the high on Saturday, 40 on Sunday, and 38 for the high right now on Monday. So a bit of a cold start to next week, but before the weekend cool down, we do have some rain on Friday. That's with a cold front. Other than that rain on Friday, we're pretty quiet today through Thursday, and we'll mostly hold on to the 50s until the weekend as well.
Looks good. Matthew, thank you for those updates. The State Health Department is reaching out to people living in Saginaw Bay and Tuscola counties to join the Michigan Chemical Exposure Monitoring Program, also known as MyChem. Over the next few weeks, invitations will be sent out to join the program, and one adult will be randomly selected from each registered household. That person will take a survey and provide blood and urine samples, which are analyzed for certain chemicals. The health department says by gathering this data, they can see trends in how we come in contact with certain chemicals and determine the best way to reduce that exposure.
This is neat. This weekend, you can help young people grow their business. Saturday in Frankenmuth is the Kids Rule Now Youth Entrepreneurship Expo. Several children, as young as 8 years old, will set up shop selling jewelry, clothing, accessories, and more. Saturday's expo at the River Place shops runs from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
And you can step back in time with a new tool from the Sloan Museum of Discovery. The new online research tool, Finding Flint, will give you the chance to access historical content for free. Gives you digital access to photographs, manuscripts, audio, and visual materials, scrapbooks, and other unpublished materials from Flint and Genesee County. There will also be a live demonstration on Thursday at 3:30 to show you how to use it. That'll be at the museum on Kersley Street. Now we are checking in with meteorologist Matthew Mondro for one last look at your 7-day forecast.
And that 7-day forecast here is still fairly quiet as we go into today, partly to mostly sunny, just a few lightly scattered rain showers tomorrow. Really not expecting much rain. A rainier day on Friday, then of course that weekend cool down with that first chance of snow showers for the season.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us for this live report this morning.
We hope you'll stay with us. We'll see you back here for TV5 News at 9.